Facebook people, wake up. Guess who we got here today for you? We have one of Philly's best. I'm telling you, I love her inside and out. Oh my gosh, she's the best. And that sounds so trite for somebody as wonderful as LaTice Mitchell. LaTice,
Thank you.
yeah, she's a comedian. I've seen her acting, like with Gerald Benford, and God knows what else you've done. She's a writer and an executive producer of my life. I think that you were meaning your own life, or is that a show?
Definitely, just my life, figuratively speaking.
Well, I came to Philly and I met you at your comedian's breakfast.
Yes.
What a great idea that was, to have all the Philly, New Jersey, New York people come and meet with you.
Yeah, well, it actually it's interesting how that started. It started a while back, and it was an idea that Julia Scotti and I had, because ideally, working comedians, we don't get to spend a lot of time with each other. So we figured, why not set up something where we can sit down and just be normal instead of like being at a show. So we decided that we'd set a date and we see who showed up, and that's how it started. So it started, and then it became a monthly event, and it's grown over the years. It did stop for a little bit. I want to say like between like 2014 maybe to 2015ish, 16, but we jumped right back into it, and we've been doing it before the pandemic. So
I remember my very first time coming there, not really knowing you. I mean, I talked to you on Facebook, and
yeah.
I have a little bit of a brain injury, and I'm okay in person, but if you're talking to me on Facebook, I come out like I'm a little bit kooky.
Well, I like cookies, so I think that's why we hit it off. And yeah, when you showed up, and yeah, you were like the life of the party. So I was like, I like her. And I remember Mel Harris was there, and we were all at one end of the table just clowning around, and we had a good time. I mean, I think it's fun because you get to see people in a different element other than just the stage.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea, to grow relationships within the comedy industry, so that we can network, who's booking these shows, or who has their own shows that they need comedians for. So it's beneficial and it's fun. It's like a
Yes.
breakaway.
It's so great. And
Yeah.
like it, I can't tell you, being from Oregon and moving to New York and then getting
Mhm.
to come to your breakfast and meet
Yeah.
all those people. And then the waitress cuts me out of the picture and Mel Harris puts me in the ketchup bottle.
That was hilarious. Mel loves photoshopping, so yeah, he's good for that. And then what, we posted it in our group, right?
Yes.
That was hilarious.
And so you had me on a show with you when I was in Philly the second time around. Thank you for doing that for
Oh,
me.
you're welcome, of course.
I tried to bring out my best, but I was still
Yeah,
in a phase where
no,
memory was getting in my way. But I've gotten past that, so that's
that's
been a good
good.
hurdle. Yeah. So
Well,
how
you
is
were
my
funny
Phil?
then. You were funny then. So, I mean, I didn't see any hindrance. You were,
Really?
really, really good on stage.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So how's my Philly comics? How's Helium? How are all those comics?
Well, everything has kind of come to a halt since the pandemic, and but it's starting to open up slowly. And in fact, this past Saturday, I was in Philly at the Raven Lounge, and we did a show outside, which was very interesting. It worked. We had an audience, which was across the street, and the steps were our stage, and it was cool, and it felt good to like actually be standing up in front of a microphone after so long. So it was good. It was like, putting your toe back in the baby pool, so to speak. Quick, I did a quick, I don't know, 5 maybe 7 minute spot, and It was great. The news actually, Fox was down there for a little bit, so there was this whole article that they wrote up, which was really cool, just about Raven Lounge trying to bring comedy back, amid all the, pandemic. So I hope it works out. There are things opening up. Comedy shows are coming back. We are essential, and
Thank
I
you for
know
saying that.
people. Yeah, it's true. People are missing comedy. So there's been a lot of online things recently, obviously trying to, you know, help because we need some type of outlet. So thankfully, there are a lot of people who are putting together online shows, and they've been very successful. There's a mic that's been running consistently for 14 weeks every Sunday. It's called Sucks to Be Quarantined. It's the Fergie's mic, which is in Philly as well. And normally that would be at 12th and Sansom on any given Sunday, but it's been online for the last 14 weeks, and it is an amazing showcase. We have so much fun, and it's literally like 3 to 4 hours of comedy, like nonstop. It's amazing.
I love that room. Every time I've gone up there, I mean, the crowd is electric. You can get up there and read the phone book and they'll laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is a great room. So it's really cool to see how it transitioned to online. And Kat Mosley spearheaded, this mic, and she has a great crew that works with her every week. And I'm one of the resident hosts, so every now and then I'll host a show. But I love just sitting in. I'll do a spot, and we have a good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. You have a son
I
and you,
have two actually, two sons and a daughter. So my 13-year-old just graduated eighth grade. He'll be a freshman this September, and then the baby will be starting kindergarten this fall,
no
which I
way.
cannot believe. So yeah, he's 5, and then my daughter is the oldest. She's grown. She has her own place. She's 28. So we're in the transition now of like we're pretty much like best friends. So
Yes.
we kind of hang out when we can. She came with me on Saturday, as a matter of fact. So it was fun. Yeah.
Well, my daughter and I still are not speaking.
Uh
So that happened. That's the reason I started comedy 6 years ago.
oh. Okay.
So, I've been making it work by
Yeah.
just staying positive and making people laugh. I don't know what
That,
else to do.
yeah. I mean, because we need it as much as they do, to be honest. So as much as the audience needs to laugh, we need to provide those laughs most of the time. I agree. I do hope that in time you and your daughter can, finally come together, and everybody, I guess, takes time to heal. Everybody has their own process. Just don't give up on her, and hopefully, it'll work.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So you do acting and I think you probably you're a writer. So I've seen you do sketches and act outs with Gerald Benford. Your
Yeah.
acting is on point.
Thank you.
Like you need my
Yeah,
review.
it's crazy because acting was actually my first love. So, and then I kind of fell into comedy. I was always naturally funny as a kid, but I never thought I could actually, do it as a profession. So when I started doing comedy, I was like, this is amazing. And yeah, but I love acting. So yeah, I write too. I'm in the middle of writing a couple scripts now. And I really can't wait for this pandemic to be over because there's some things that I have to shoot with Gerald, and things that I'm writing. And actually, I have a project right now that I am collaborating with another fellow comedian and actor, Sean Cornelius, out of New York, who just recently released his own movie called Whatever It Takes, and I'm in that too. I have like a small part in that, and but we're collaborating on a web series right now called Quarantine Love. There's a question mark to that. So that's gonna come out.
Wonderful.
uh, After, yeah, probably like late this year, but it'll be really
So when you do these sketches with Gerald Benford,
good.
sometimes you're the straight person and
Yeah.
sometimes you're not, and sometimes you're both delivering the funny.
Right.
Is that correct? Did I?
Yeah, because we're both crazy. Like the chemistry between Gerald and I is so it's so natural. It's so like we play off of each other very well. I love working with him. He's hilarious. Like he makes me laugh, I make him laugh. So we kind of figure out what we want to do. We literally just set up the premise most of the time, and then we just go for it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And whatever you see is what we decide to put out.
Oh my gosh. So you just start rolling the camera and stuff
Yeah.
pops out.
Yeah,
That
pretty
makes it
much.
even more special.
It is. He's so much fun to work with, and he's been busy doing his own videos. He's got a good following now on TikTok. He's trying to get me over there, so um, I'm like still kind of resisting a little bit, but I'm gonna be putting out more stuff on TikTok as well.
I tried TikTok and so far it's mostly just me looking at the camera and doing silly stuff. I haven't got the
Right?
nerve.
I know. Yeah, that's the same with me. Like, I have a couple videos, but I really want like I watch. So I'll watch some of the people who are already on there, and they have these amazing videos, and I'm like, how do they even think about this stuff? So it's a challenge because you're like, can I put it out and it be as successful? I think that's what kind of stops me sometimes. I'm like, let me think about it. But yeah, it's fun. So as long as you're having fun, I think you just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're in Philly and how
Yeah.
many states has your comedy taken you to?
Oh wow, that's a good question. I've been to let me see, I've been as far south as Florida. I've gone to South Carolina. I have gone to Memphis. I've gone to Chicago. Gone to LA. And I'm trying to think if there anything else. Las Vegas. I have been in Las Vegas as well. And everything like in between. PA, of course. Let me see. Yeah, Maryland. I haven't been to every state yet. I do. I would like to get out to Arizona. That's a hot spot right now. It's growing out there. There's a big comedy festival coming up too. It's supposed to be in September. I think it's Big Pine, which is in Arizona. So we'll see. Yeah, and yeah, I've been North Carolina several times, down in Raleigh. Where else? I places I haven't been. I haven't been to Atlanta yet, which is definitely a hot spot. I have not been. Oh, and I've been to New Orleans, so I've done comedy in New Orleans too. So that was amazing. Um, where else do I want to go?
Yeah.
There are a lot of places. But yeah, so I feel like as long as people want me to, to perform, I'll travel wherever that is. And of course, I've been, done shows in New York, and but there's still so many places to even conquer in New York. So,
What if you had you could have a magic genie thing to
hmm
rub and you could have one place you have to go to know that you've arrived, where would it be?
well, it would definitely be, it would be Caroline's in New York. That's the ultimate club. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. Have you done Apollo?
Not yet. Not yet. Everything halted with that. Bob Sumner's been really good though with booking a lot of people, giving some good opportunities. So we'll see when this all clears up if I'll get up there. I have a lot of colleagues who've already played it. Unfortunately, some were canceled. I think right after March 5th, that might have been the last show that was at the Apollo, and then after that, everything was shut down. So we'll see what it looks like once we get out of once we're in the clear and they realize. I do know this though. It's audiences are going to look different because everybody's going to be wearing masks now. I feel like we're probably going to have to keep wearing them well into the end of this year. no matter what. I think it's the best thing to do if you're going to be outside or be in a public area. So it's just something that we're gonna have to get used to.
Exactly.
I'm for it as long as we can get back on stage and start, making people laugh again.
Absolutely. I can't wait for it to get back to whatever a new normal is going to be.
Exactly.
It's kind of sad to me that when we do come back, we can't sit close, compact together yet.
Right, right. We still have to practice the social distancing. It was crazy too because even on Saturday, like we were all out there. We all had our masks on, and there were moments where people would come up to you and greet you, and they're like, "Can I hug you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, sure, it's no problem." Like real quick, just real quick. But we, still with masks on. It's like I don't want to get into that like fear-driven living. As long as it's quick and you're still like you're protected for the most part, I don't think it's that bad. Plus we had hand sanitizer on the ready. They wiped down the microphone and the mic stand after every performance, so everybody was really diligent on making sure that we stayed sanitized, which I liked. So that those are the precautions that we're just going to have to get used to doing. um, which is funny because I feel like if people were doing that, if everyone was doing that on a regular basis before this, I don't think it would have gotten this far because
Exactly.
I've always been that way. I've always carried hand sanitizer, no matter what. Like that was just me. I'm like, you never know when you're going to need it. I've always had it. So it's not too big of a change for me.
That's super that you do that anyway. You know, it's really common sense stuff. It's not rocket
Yeah.
science.
Yeah. Wash your hands. Okay. Like, all right. Thanks.
Don't cough in someone's face. How
Thanks.
difficult is that?
Right. 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 Like that episode of Seinfeld, the close talker. Like now we understand why
Yeah,
Jerry hated it so much.
we've all
Like
had
back
a
up.
yeah, we've
Hmm.
all had a chance to get into the whole Howie Mandel germaphobe
Oh
feeling.
yeah, yeah. He's one of a well-known germaphobe for sure. Yeah, so it wasn't even a problem for him. Like, oh, sure, quarantine, I can stay away from people. I have no problem. Yeah.
So, have you been personally affected by the COVID-19, like family, friends, comics that?
Thankfully not as closely. I hear about people who, maybe their grandmother, but still not close to, it's at least like a few degrees of separation. Nothing in my immediate family, thankfully. It's just once they said don't go out, we were like, all right, we can't go out. That was it. Like, all right. And since March, I didn't like really leave my house. And if I did, I went to CVS and came right back home. So I really wasn't out. This is like the first weekend that I've really been like, okay, we're out here. We're walking the streets. I'm wearing a mask. This is what we're doing. So yeah, it felt good though, even though, it looks different right now. But it still felt good like seeing people. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, one day, just one day of this pandemic, I lost 5 people to the
Wow.
virus. And I live where it's not a hot spot of virus here in Nevada. And so you
Okay.
got a lot of them truthers and, conspiracy people that
Wow.
they're not even sure that this is really a real thing because they've heard all the fraud at hospitals. So you know,
Okay.
it's been,
So they're
it's been,
not taking it as seriously as they should, basically. Is that what you think?
like they can't because they don't even really believe that it is a thing. And we
Wow.
had a guy here in this apartment. I live in a veterans village, so it's an old
Okay.
motel for veterans.
Okay.
And we had a veteran hauled out one night in a hazmat by people in hazmat suits, taken to the hospital, and then he exposed himself at the hospital. His parts he exposed, got kicked
Wow.
out before they found out that he was positive for the virus. They send him back here. So he's sharing cigarettes and
Oh
borrowing lighters.
no.
So fortunately,
Wow.
not everybody else was hauled out of here, but it could have been that.
Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So in the time off, have you revamped all of your on-stage comedy, or have you been working on other projects besides?
Yeah, it's been a little revamping. I know a lot of newer material has come out of this, but I've been focusing more on writing more stuff just so I can get that out. So yeah, I think it's been a little bit of both, which is good. And it's funny too because like I would, even doing the mic, it's more like we're just talking about, what's happening right now. So it's like some of it's material, some of it's just, we're just shooting the breeze type stuff. But it's interesting to see that people are like doing all new material, which I applaud them for. I but when I would even try to think of like my set, like go over some of my jokes, I'm like, I don't remember them as well. And I remember like when I first started doing some online shows, I was like, whoa, I had to think about it. I was like, what do I actually say after this part? Like, it was so weird because it was so just natural for so long and just like could just roll off the tip of my tongue. And then I was like, wow, I haven't been doing this in months almost. So it was like, it's weird. So I had to think about my own material, which was interesting.
Yeah. So did you say you have done some Zoom shows, or you've
Oh
avoided?
yeah, yeah. I've been busy, which is crazy. I think like by the end of March, I started picking up like Zoom shows and just figuring this all out. And I was like, all right. At first, I was like a little skeptical, but then I was like, all right, this could work. So what actually happened was I brought back my podcast. Funny Bits is back up and running. So we're doing that live on YouTube, and we stream it there and also on our Facebook page for Funny Bits podcast. So that's been the last 3 weeks. This is the fourth episode coming up this week. So that was exciting too, like to just bring that back because we've been on hiatus for so long trying to figure out. But I really like it because now people can see us rather than just hear us. And it just fits right in with where we are right now. Everybody's just in those little boxes and we can still all communicate. And so I started producing the show again, which I love.
Super, super. I'm gonna go on there and make sure I'm subscribed and watch
Yes,
and click
please.
like, and I'll
Yeah,
post this.
thank you. Funny
So
Bits podcast on
Funny
YouTube.
Bits podcast on YouTube and Facebook.
Yes.
And where else do you want traffic online?
Oh, you can follow me on Instagram, please, under LaTice Comedy, and also Funny Bits podcast on there as well, and on Twitter. Everything is under that same name. I mean, I might as well throw that up there since we're talking about it. And so, yeah, it was formerly Funny Bits Radio, and then once I left Wildfire, I decided to revamp it, and now it's under Funny Bits Podcast. So, but yeah, so it's me, Larry, Carl, and Kayla. And so every Thursday, 7 o'clock, we are live.
Wednesdays, 7 o'clock.
Thursdays.
Thursday,
Yeah, you know
7
how I
o'clock.
do Friday Eve. We don't really say Thursday, but I think I like Friday Eve. It sounds more festive. So
That's a good point. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I met your son, your youngest son, and I
Yeah,
want you to
Antonio. Yes, you did.
please tell him hello and give him a hug.
I
Not,
will.
yeah. So anyway, are you still wearing the hat I got you?
Of course, every now and then when I don't feel like doing my hair, if my hair isn't done, then yes, I throw on the hat, which I love. I
Thank you
love hats.
so.
That was
I'm
the
glad I
perfect.
got it.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
To
So
change up from my usual just regular black hat, I like that hat. Has
cool. Well, I'm gonna let you go, and I'll get this to my tech guy, and as soon as it's back and has everything on it that it's supposed to have, I'll make sure you know it's out there.
Thank you.
And I'll put some of your information so people can follow you and support
Fantastic.
you. And if I make any typo errors or anything like that, holler.
Yeah, send it to me.
note.
Send it to me before you finalize it, and I'll let you know for sure.
I'll do that right away. You got it.
Thank you.
Thank you so
You're
much.
awesome. It's so good to see you.
So good to see you, LaTice.
Thanks
I
for
love
having
you.
me.
Oh, hell, yes. Bye. See you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody's talking.